Alright. We are officially live, and we are back in Satisfactory, where we have been just cranking away at making this rocket fuel factory. So we have 2 full floors to go, and then a partial floor. So, just gonna keep doing this like we've been doing, with load balancing all the rocket fuel up. So that the wall goes up, and then over this way, and a little bit more, and then down that way. Alright, so let's put some foundation in here. And now we gotta get the blueprint up, which, let's see, it doesn't start back there, it starts 2 in. So is it something like that? And then, let's see, I believe it's also 1 in on this side. So if we put it there, it should be lined up. And yeah, it's probably lined up. So we can place that in. And now we get placing them all down. So we go to blueprint mode, and we just slap down a couple more of these. 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so that is the first row. Now we want to get the entire first column in, and then connect all of those up to the pipe. So we go back here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so now that that is in, we can bring the pipes up, and then figure out how to get them all sorted out. So we get foundation going out there. It's probably going to need to be at least 2 wide. Then we go all the way down to the bottom floor, and let's bring that up, and let's do the rest of these while we're at it. May as well save me some time in the future. Just get all of these pipes going up. And then we just keep going. Hopefully none of the other stuff is gonna... Hopefully none of the pipes on the higher up floors are gonna be in the way of these, although we might have to move some stuff around for that. Alright. And yeah, this pipeline needs to be shifted like that, I guess. Should be fine now. And now we can go up the rest of the way. So all of that goes up. And then we can grab one of them and make this floor. So, first thing to do is this goes forwards like this, and then it splits off into 2 directions. So there and there. And so we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3 rows there, and 1, 2, 3 rows there. Alright, so each of these is also split into 3. So you get a junction like that, which has to go into there and then into the other 2. Let's get starting pipes in for those. So like that. And then you get one of those as well. So just junction somewhere like that goes into the first row, and then 4s like that, and same thing over here. Junction goes into there, and then forward. Alright, now we have to take this, and it goes there, there, and there. So then that connects into those, and then this comes all the way down there and snaps into those. So that is that half done. Now we're going to do this half, which is going to be a good bit more cramped because of just where it is physically. So this has to go into here, go forward like that, and a little bit more with those 2. And then these ones need the same. So let's expand this foundation out a little bit more so that we have room for all of that. And we get a junction. And then off we go, and one more. Junction. And forwards. Alright, now we just take this, and how is this even going to fit in? I guess that can come out like that. So then that gets a junction, one of which goes immediately back. The next one goes forwards like that. And then finally we go along to there. Alright, so that should be the front row of all this setup. So now let's just focus on placing in all of the generators. So how do we get this to line up correctly? Like that. And then we just place all of these in. There, and one more for the row. Alright, temporarily short on motors, but that seems like it's being fixed relatively quickly. We have a good, solid, steady supply of motors, so it shouldn't be an issue. Rubber is the much more expected concern, as well as copper sheets and quick wire. Quick wire looks like it's doing fine though. Alright. Well, let's let the rubber recover while we set up the balancing for these first couple of rows that we've done. So we drop down here. And let's see if I can remember how to do this right. You connect the first two up, then this gets taken out like that. Then you go a bit further over, and you connect those two up. Then a little bit more foundation here. Then this comes out like so. And then finally you connect those two up. Alright, now we just have to take all of this back and connect it all together. So this goes here and just gets piped along. And then I guess here we can go onto this foundation here instead of hanging from the ceiling. Now this comes back and pops into these pipes. Alright, so that is one done. Now we come here and do the next one, which is we're connecting up every others to form these up into batches of 2 blueprints. Okay, hang on. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. So we have those 2 connected up, then this one has to loop out, and then we have those 2 connected up. So this has to loop out like that, and then these last 2 connect up. Alright, cool. It's pretty easy load balancing, fortunately. Just a whole bunch of 1 to 6s on top of each other. So this comes along back to there, I guess. Then this also gets added onto the list of things that we're taking. And there we go. I get it angled correctly. This foundation here is making it like marginally more difficult, but not extremely so. Alright, and now we just connect them up the last little bit. And that's another one of those done. Alright. Now we can go back to placing these with hopefully enough motors to not be an issue. Alright, so that fills out that row. And rubber seems to be the primary concern. Motors we could use a bit of a restock on, but they're not going to be an issue as long as rubber is still slow to come through. The motors aren't going to be a problem. Alright, so we can at least get that started with 1. But yeah, we did recently improve our rubber production, but still seems to be somewhat slow. Alright, so let's get into here. We've already done that one, so we just got to do this one next. So we connect up those 2, and oh, what? Okay, no, we didn't do this one. Alright, so those 2 get connected. Then we skip. Then those 2 get connected. And we skip. And there we go. 1 to 2 splitter done. Now we take all these pipes out. You could rotate the right way, that would be great. So we take all the pipes out. bring them forwards and connect them up to the main line. So that comes out there, then this will join up with it like that. Now both of these come forwards a bit, and then connect in. Alright, another one of those done. How do I get out? That was a lot easier than I thought it was. For some reason I thought that getting out of there would be difficult, and it definitely was not. Alright, so now we go back to here. Factory must grow. Yep, it's definitely growing. We're still having a bit of a rubber shortage, which is a shame. Might have to stop by over there. It looks like it's filling up fast enough, but we just don't have a big stockpile. So I might head over to the rubber factory and just grab some manually to speed that up. There we go. So that is another row, and we just have 2 more on this floor. Then 1 more floor past that, and then a partial floor. So we are nearly done, really. This is going a lot faster than previous times I've done things like this. So are these backwards? Yeah, I put these in backwards. Or no, I didn't. I don't know why I thought that. I just didn't see this. Okay, so we connected up the first bit. So then we skipped that one. And then we connect up to that one. And skip. And connect up. Then we come back here. And this pipe comes out. And forwards. Alright, a little bit more. Actually, should get pushed out over that way to leave space for this one to come in. And then the pipes come back. There we go. And then we can just boop and boop. That's another row done. Alright. Rubber filled up the dimensional depot there. So we're going to pull that out to help it grow faster. And then just have 2 more of these to go, and then this floor will be done. Alright, so that goes there. And another one. And another one. And another one, and we need 1 more. We don't have the rubber for, but it should show up quickly. So just wait a little bit longer. And yeah. Alright. It's almost there. So now we just drop down and connect these up. So the first 2 are connected across. Then we skip one, and actually we'll, instead of just skipping it, we'll bring this pipe out to make it easier for later. Then we connect those 2 across, and skip that one, and those 2. Alright, now this all can come out there, and then out to here. And around. Now we just have to bring both pipes back. Doing this is surprisingly relaxing. Just placing some pipes, flying around on the hover pack. Alright, so that is that. And rubber dimensional depot almost, but didn't quite fill up there. Alright, so now we just have one more row to go on this floor. So let's fill all these in. And the rubber is going to be short. There we go. So we just have to wait for another 200-ish rubber. And then we can finish off this floor. And then we're going to take a quick break to do some just maintenance and bug fixing before we go on to the next one. And probably will stop off to grab more rubber as well. There we go. Alright. So that is all in. And now we just have to connect it up. So let's see if I can actually do this backwards. So those two connect up. Then this one comes out to here. And those two connect up. Then this pipe comes back. And this one gets piped out. Then both of these pipes get brought forwards. Those two get connected up. And then the pipes snap in. This one's probably going to have to come a bit closer before going in. There we go. So that should be it. The entire floor is in, and now we just have to connect all of the cables up. In the meantime, let's restock on rubber, because we know that's going to be a problem. Quick wire is doing totally fine. I don't know how that... Quick wire was an issue last time, but apparently not this time. Alright, so now we just have to connect all these guys up. So all of these cables go together. And then we connect across to the next row, and we just gotta... Ooh, no, not like that. We just gotta zigzag through the entire floor. Oh, I got badly turned around for a bit there. What the heck? Alright, so this just keeps going. And this is going to take a little bit of clicking. But it shouldn't be too hard. There we go. And that's connected up. Now let's continue making sure that our inventory gets filled up with rubber for the next floor. So we're going to need a lot of that. Alright, stop missing the power poles, please. Alright, and we just run along like this. Just have to connect up 36 of these machines total. Or 36 of these power lines total. There are 144 machines on each floor. Alright, did that? No, those two didn't connect up properly for some reason. Alright, just a little more. And then connect across to this. And and just keep on going. There we go. A little bit more. One last row, and then we just connect this up to the floor beneath us, and it'll all be started up. And I can hear the machines doing weird things in the background, so I know that this isn't working at 100% efficiency. That's going to be something that we have to fix. So let's connect this down to there. And then we see that giant spike. Love to see it. Alright, so let's grab some more rubber. We're going to need a lot of that. It's more than 600. Let's see, how much actually is it? It's 200 per blueprint. There are 6 blueprints per row. So it's 1,200 per row. And then there are 6 rows. So yeah, a lot of rubber. Alright, so first of all, I think I had seen earlier that the bottom floor was having issues. This floor looks like it's going fine. This floor, yeah, so this is the bottom floor of power generation, and it is not going great. What has gone wrong with all of these guys? That's 51%, that's 52%. Then we drop down to 24% for those, and 11% for those, and also 11% for these. So this is the bottom floor, and I hadn't properly split it across, because this is just manifolded, which theoretically shouldn't be an issue if everything was producing well enough. So clearly everything is not producing well enough. Let's go back to the fuel generators to see what they're doing. So those two are cooking along just fine. This is showing 75% because of a lack of fuel. And they all seem to be struggling with a fuel shortage. Alright. Not enough heavy oil residue for any of these. Alright, that's concerning. So the heavy oil residue comes in these pipes, and let's grab a little bit more rubber. We need so much of it. Alright. Flow rate doesn't seem to be maximized. Alright, well that one's obviously not going to have any issues. We seem to be at 100% everywhere that I'm looking so far. And then back here we have manifolding stuff. Right, okay. So the problem... So first of all, we're not even theoretically meant to be using all of this, because we don't have the entire thing turned on yet. We still are missing a floor and a bit, but this is obviously more of a shortage than that would explain. So, oh, I bet I know what it is. So that is 50 per minute. This valve is giving 40-ish per minute each. So these pipes are mostly full, but not entirely full. So first thing to do is, I think, let's see here. I mean, the valves seemed like they were working-ish earlier, but now I'm not so sure. So that's 40 a minute. That's 40 a minute. Yeah, so the problem is that valves only work at the set number if the pipe going into the valve is full. And even then... So I think we just remove all these valves and see what happens. Okay, not the pipe. The valve. So these valves all come off. And the water is also potentially having issues, but maybe not. Alright, so that is that. Then we have a couple more rows of this to do. But is this even working? I'm seeing good numbers for all of these. That one looks fine. This one is filling up. And then these last two are equal splits, so they should be fine as well. Alright, so assuming that this is good, then that should be all set to go. How is this valve doing? Set to 300 a minute, but definitely not giving that. This is set to 300 a minute, and it's like close-ish, I guess. So these should be able to do 300 a minute exactly. That's one of the values that they can. So it is, I think, just a problem with these. Are these also... So these ones have fuel backlogs. But plenty of heavy oil residue. Well, I think we better take the valves off anyway, because we know that they're a problem. I don't know that the water valves are a problem, so we're gonna leave those on until it becomes one, I think. Alright, and then another row here. Gotta remove the valves and make sure everything works properly. I could also just set the valves to go faster, but either way shouldn't cause issues. Alright, so that should be all good to go. Now, are these producing enough fuel again? Yeah, looks good, and if we head all the way to the back of the row, these are still 80%. Alright, this is somewhat annoying. So this flow rate, this pipe is full, which means that this should be 300. Instead is 297.6. And then occasionally it drops below that. Alright, let's just set that valve to be unlimited. And do the same for the rest of these. And hopefully that will remove the issues. Because we definitely have enough heavy oil residue production at the moment. We have hundreds more than we need, probably. So if we just set those valves to go crazy, then all of this should fill up pretty quick. Yep. And it is skyrocketing up to 50. As is this one. And then once these are done, the heavy oil residue in these pipes should fill up, and then it'll all balance across again and be fine. And then we should probably just set up the first row, this one, to be load balanced like the rest of them. So how did I do this? So I had already done the 1 to 6 on the front half, sort of. I did something along those lines anyways. None of these valves are limiting anything, right? Right. So I just need to make some minor tweaks in here so that they aren't just connected all the way across. Alright, so the first two get connected up. Then that connection goes out. My hotbars are going crazy. Alright, so then this wheels out this way. And then the next two are connected. And these two come out, I think. It's very possible that I've lost track. And then those last two are connected together. I think I've done this right. Alright, so this comes out all the way to here. And then across. And further across. Then this comes out like that. Both of these come all the way back. And I don't know why I'm doing this batch specifically. Alright, so then this has to come out, and we replace it with a junction which needs to go a bit further forwards, I think. No, not into that one. You have to snap into that one. And then you go into that one. And then yeah, this one is all a bit funky because it's the bottom floor. But then those two connect across, and that row should be all set. So we just have a bunch more of that sort of thing to do here. But theoretically, we shouldn't even need to. Theoretically, it should manifold across now that the production was fixed. And let's see, this whole thing should be turning on now. Why is this one not gone? There it goes. And is it getting enough? It looks like it is. Alright, so that should be fine. We're just not going to worry about that and assume that it all works out. For the rest of these, I will leave them to their own devices to see if they do manifold across, which would be ideal. Power is still very, very wobbly, but not much that I can do about that. aside from just put in the extra bit. So we have one more main floor. So we grab the wall, and we go up a bit. I think it's one more. Then we grab the foundation, and then we go across that way, and across this way. Alright, almost there. So then this goes in like that, and forwards, and then we're going to be putting in the next row of machines. So this goes 2 up that way, 1 over that way. I believe that is correct. Yeah, that's correct. And then, oh, we actually need to rotate it correctly. So have it rotated like that. And then realign it. And in we go. Alright, so that is in. And now we just place the rest of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's row 1. And then we get the entire front half of the system in. So the front row. So we just come back to here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now we are short copper sheets. Of course we are. There's always something that we don't have enough of. Copper sheets, I guess because we have enough rubber to be able to place that quite quickly now. And maybe a couple stacks of motors would help as well. Alright, so this whole first row is in. Let's connect the power across. Alright, so this power line goes across. And then we'll just need to connect the rows up. And keep filling our inventory with copper sheets, which are now the bottleneck. Alright, that should be good enough for now at least. So let's grab another little bit of copper sheets and then start making the pipe setup here. So this goes there and connects down. And then the bonus floor goes there and connects down. Alright, so we just need to not have that happen. So to have the floor hole function properly for once, then that goes in, and oh, that's not good. Yeah, the way that these are facing is all messed up. And that's going to cause some issues. So, well, first of all, what we're going to need is we're going to need more space, which means let's do this more space efficient way. So if we just put the junction there and that goes in there, that will save some space. And then those two go in there and there. And connect up like that. And then forwards a little bit. There we go. Alright, and yeah, this just happened for all of these, which is actually gonna be a bit of a problem because there's not that much space in here. Although maybe we could actually use this to our advantage. So these two are right next to each other. We could just make that as the connection there. Across like that, and then do more. Let's get the rest of this row in, I guess. And then figure out... Alright, so this has to be rotated to line up. So all of these go in. Like that. So instead of a 1 to 6 splitter, we're doing something slightly different here. We're doing a 1 to 12, basically. So let's see. We can connect those two across like that. And then just do that for each of the... Oh, no, this is the only one that's like this. Okay, if this front one is the only one that's like this, then I'm just gonna take you down and then put you in correctly. Like that. And oh no, it's not. It's like every other for some reason. Why are you like this? Alright, let's fix this row. And then... Wait, is this actually... Right, so the wall actually has to go on the other side. I thought that the wall was supposed to go on this side, but I got it backwards. So that goes there. Then that comes out and goes there. And this row is fixed. Then we connect those two and skip 2. Connect those two, skip, and one last connection. And then that goes down there for this to hook onto. So that gets built like that. And just comes along towards the front. Alright. Then this comes out as well. And then these two can just come onto the foundation here. And go all the way over here. Alright, so now we have that. We just gotta put that in. And connect it across to there, and to there. And then we have this dismantle crate here with all of this stuff. Which, yeah, obviously not going to be able to do much with that. But we should be able to drop by here in the future to pick it up. Alright, then we get a junction there, which goes there, and then forwards a little bit. So that is 2 in. Then this is the other one, which is backwards. So we'll take you out and put you back in, but facing the right way. Then we don't need all of this. So let's do a quick dismantle. And then this has to come over here and get all set up like that. Now this pipe heads over, and then I probably shouldn't have brought it so close now that we have a weirdly short segment. And we go 1 into there, 1 forwards like that, and another forwards like that. So then you get connected up, as do you. And then we need to... What is this? What is that doing? Oh, right, that is the connection that I thought I wanted to make, but I didn't actually. Alright, so which of these still needs to be... Yes, this... We've done that one. We need to hook this one up. So, connect the first 2, then we skip 1, then connect another 2, and skip 1, and connect those 2. Alright, now this comes out, and comes out further, like that. And then this one goes there. Then the pipes just go the rest of the way and hook in. Alright, that comes a little bit forwards and then goes there and there. Alright, so next we have another row to build. And it would be very nice if it were all lined up properly, like this. Alright, so that all goes in. And let's just throw down as many of these machines as we can. If we're placing fast enough that the motors are becoming an issue, which it looks like we are, that's a pretty good sign. Alright. So now we are short on copper sheets. So we'll just place that in. And now we can actually head over to that dismantle crate to pick up some extra supplies. Alright, So let's head over here and grab those. And rubber, copper sheets, and some more motors. We don't really need that many motors, but fine. Alright, so these three... Is this one hooked up? No, so this one needs to be attached in. So, connect the first two. Skip those so that they can get connected in directly. This is all a giant splitter of 1 to 36 in total. So this comes out here like that, and then the pipe runs along as far as it'll go, and then we add another one on, and then we drag both of these pipes all the way back to here. Alright, then that one goes back to there. This should be close enough that they can connect back like that. Alright. So that is that row done. Now, let's see. Grab some more copper sheets. Grab some more rubber. Inventory is now full. So, time to place some more of these to empty out the inventory and clear space for more stuff that I'm going to be placing down. Alright, this is still all lined up right. Yes. There we go. That row is done. Then we go back to this one, which is the last row actually, and just a little bit more rubber, and we place that in. Alright, that is all of the primary floors. So we just have to connect all these up and then do the smallest floor, which will be different obviously from all this. Alright. This last one is all lined up properly right, and then this one is all lined up except for the first one. Alright, so that has to go away, and then we could just place it back like that. Alright, so now we put the rest of those in. So you get a pipeline junction, and then 3 of those, and then this comes out a little bit further to get a pipeline junction with 3 outputs. So now this gets a pipeline junction, which part of it goes back to there, part of it goes forwards to there, and then the remaining part goes all the way forwards to there. Alright, now we just have to get the rest of these attachments. So I did this one already, right? Gotta make sure not to lose track of where I am. Yes, so I did that one. So if I skip one, it might be kind of hard to tell. So that gets connected. Then we skip a row. Then that gets connected. And we skip a row. Then that gets connected. Then all of this comes out like that. And forwards. Got quite a fair amount of pipes to place. So that comes out like there. That comes out as well. Now all of these just head up towards the front where we can connect them in. Apparently pretty close already. There we go. Boom and boom. Alright, so it's just 2 more rows on this floor. That connects, and we skip. Let's drag this out. Then that connects, and we skip. So that comes out to there. Then that connects. And then we just have to get all of this back. So back we go, back to there. Then these 2 pipes will come up to here. And then in. There. And there. And then finally we have this row. So we connect those up. Then this one gets brought out to there. Connect those up. This one gets brought out to there. And connect those up. Now we run these pipes all the way back. Did that actually work? It did. Cool. Then we just bring this forwards even more. Bring this to catch up to it. And then just a little bit short of the front. Then those connect in. Alright, that is all of the pipes connected across. So now we just need to connect the power lines back. So these all get hooked up. Not to some random power line in the middle of nowhere, though. We do not need you. We need that to go back to there. Alright, then I don't think we have to zigzag, because I'm pretty sure I did the front row connected across, but it's more helpful to do it anyways. So now this all just goes back. And across a little bit more. Alright, looks like when I dismantled some of the front bits, some of that connection got cut anyway, so I am going to have to zigzag. Alright. And then over we go. And just keep going. Go. Now we go over this way and up. Placing wires. I wish there was a better way of doing this. At least I'm not having to do all these power poles individually. At least I had the forethought to put power poles in the blueprint. Alright, so this keeps going. then these should all be connected up. So now this just goes down to that floor, and we get another nice satisfying spike of power. And it looks pretty good, although it does seem like we are having production issues here. So that is going to be something worth investigating. But for now, I think let's just grab some rubber, grab some copper sheets, and just try to do the final floor, which is, I think it's like 375, right? If we drop down to this, yes, 375. So that is more than half, but only a little bit more than half. Alright, so we go up 8 walls, then we go across. And we're going to set up approximately the same area here. Alright, so each of these rows is 100, right? Because there's 600 and we have 6 rows, so each row is 100, which means we need 3 rows and then 3/4 of a row. So actually, it might just be easier to do 4 rows and then underclock all of the machines somehow rather than managing with all the splitting. Yeah, let's go with that. Have some underclock reactors, because why not? Alright, so that should be good. Then we need to grab our blueprint. And this is the same recipe as all the other ones, which is 2 back, 1 over. Alright, so then we get these in. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, rubber and copper supplies are going to be an issue. Run out of rubber again. That's fine. We can stop to do the math real quick. So if we have 375 divided by, it's like 4.167. 375 divided by 4.16 is 90. So we need 90 fuel generators, which is a nice even number. However, 90 divided by 4 is 22.5. So we need 22 blueprints and then an extra 2 generators on top of that. And then we're going to need to figure out how to split that somehow. And then the alternative would be if we go 375 divided by 5. No, wait. 375 divided by 4 divided by 5 would be 75. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to get this down to a multiple of 6. So No, I don't know what I'm doing. The math is hard. We have 375 divided by 4.16666 is 90. So, if we want to do this with full speed generators, it would be 90 of them. Which actually, we can do that, right? So 90... Wait, let me think. No, the math is not mathing, because normally we have 144 on a floor. This is 90. So we divide that by 4, we have 22.5 blueprints. This is where we got stuck last time. 22.5 blueprints is 3 rows of 6 and a row of 4.5. Let's fill up with copper sheets, and I don't want that selected. Fill up with copper sheets and rubber. So I think we just... this would be so easy if we could just use valves to do the splitting, but we should be able to just use clever piping to do the splitting, I think. Or we could go 375 divided by 4 is 93.75. Divide that by 4 again. What am I trying to do here? So 375 divided by 4 is 93.75. That is how much an individual row needs to be able to output. So 93.75 divided by 4.1667 is, we need 22.5 effective machines per row. That's what that means, I think. And we have 24, right? Because it's 6 times 4. So 22.5 divided by 24 is 0.9375. So if I take you and I set you to 93.75%, of course it's not gonna show me until I actually have fuel in there. But I can do that. 4.1667 times 0.9375 is 3.906. And if I just mash a bunch of zeros on there, 3.90625. And if we multiply that by 24, we get 93.75. So that works. And we multiply that by 4, and we get 375. So 93.75% for all of our machines. And we have 4 rows of them. This is going to take a while to get all the settings pasted across. But that's fine. It's worth it for having nice, neat numbers. So that is 4 rows. And now we just have to fill out the rows. And then we'll be good to go. So that all goes in. And the amount of rubber we have is not encouraging. Not encouraging at all. We're going to have to wait for it. I should go over and check. We'll be done with this soon, and then I can head over to check the rubber factory to see if it's working the way I expected it to. It probably is. This is probably just the limit of the dimensional depots. Alright, let's get that in. The good news is we have plenty of stuff to do while we wait for rubber. And copper sheets as well, but they're less urgent because we have a good stockpile of them. And we use about 20 less copper sheets per placement than rubber. Alright, so what we need to do is first we just need to get the actual pipes set up and running into these. So this gets a floor hole which goes up, and we're going to need to dismantle that pipe and rebuild it. These floor holes are a bit finicky sometimes. So that goes up. And then what we need is this to come over here, come over this way, and then split. So we need half of it to go over this way for those two, and the other half to just come back this way for these. Right, that pipeline junction should be offset a little bit, of course. So that has to just go like that. And then that all gets set up. And this comes over this way. And then this all gets popped in like that. Alright, now we run over here and do these. So you get a junction, and 1, 2, 3 pipes coming out of it, and you get a junction with 1, 2, 3 pipes coming out, and then we just split this off into that and that. And now we just have to finish putting in the rest of these. So that goes there. Is it lined up properly? It is. Gotta make sure it's all rotated and everything. Then that goes in there. And we're still low on rubber, but we can at least get a little bit more placed. And now we will go in and start connecting these pipes across. So we drop down here. So those two get connected. And we skip one. And those two get connected. And we skip one. And those two get connected. Then that goes across. This comes out and onto there. Then we drag this pipe back as far as it'll go. This needs to go a little bit further. Actually, just up to like there would be fine, honestly. So then this comes out to there. This comes out to there. And then these pipes come back towards the front and snap in. Alright, so that is in. There's the rubber supply going. I'm going to do a restock there, and then I'll get this one too. And then we'll go back and put in the last couple machines. So those two get snapped in. We pass that one. snap those two in, and pass that one, and finally snap those two in. Alright, now this comes out to here. Please rotate correctly. Thank you. Then this comes forwards. Alright, so this pipe just goes all the way up to here. And we're just going to move it in a little bit so that we don't have to deal with being right on the edge of that foundation there. Then these two pipes both come forwards as far as they'll go, which is quite far. It feels like pipes... It feels like they go longer like this than they do in other circumstances. Maybe I'm just crazy. Alright, so then those connect up. And let's get the last row in. Should have plenty of rubber for this now. So it all goes in. And we almost ran out of motors, but we didn't, and that's the important part. And I believe that is all the machines placed for the entire factory. So now we just need to connect the pipes up, then connect the wires up, and then place in a billion settings, which is going to take ages. Alright, so now we are here. Just do this for the second to last time. Then this comes out like so. Please rotate. There we go. And then the last two connect up. Alright, now this comes forwards. And continues going forwards. Now this will come out like that. And then all the way up to the front, where they can snap in. Alright, so then those get connected together, and that is another set of pipes done. Alright, this is the last 1 to 6 of these that I have to do. So those two get connected across. This one comes out. Those two get connected. This one comes out. And then these two get connected. Alright, so we just take this, and it goes all the way back. To there, and then this one can go to there. Alright. Alright, all of the machines in the entire power generation plant are connected up to fuel. So that is huge progress. Now, we need to go to all of them and change their settings, which this is going to take absolutely ages. So just paste them along. I could have probably saved time by figuring out the numbers in advance and just changing the blueprint, but it's obviously much too late now for that. So we're just going to go up and down each of these rows and paste those settings in and hope that I get the math right. If I didn't do the math right, boy, is that going to be embarrassing. Right. Settings pasted. All of these. And go. Then we get over to this row. Not sure if that one worked or not. Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's because these aren't connected to each other yet. That's the next step. So that's like some individual batch of 4 machines which all shut off at once, I think, while I was hover packing through, drawing power. So that's not a concern. We just have to get all of these up. And yes, just stop doing that whenever I pass by. I wonder if I'll have to re-flip those levers, or if connecting them all up will solve the issue. Hopefully it'll all get solved when I just connect all the powers up. When I just connect all the power poles up. It would be annoying if it turned off the main power grid for my entire factory. I don't think it will, though. Great. So this is all going along. And gosh, my fingers sure are getting sore. The copy paste button is not the easiest for me to click. But here we are. So now we connect the power lines up, and that should stop all the random little crashes. So they should all be connected together. And so now, as long as like any one factory is running properly, then there won't be crashes. And then we're going to have to head down and figure out, you know, all the production issues with this, because there are definitely going to be plenty. And now that we're using theoretically 100% of the factory output, we'll be able to find stuff that otherwise would have been invisible. So yeah, unless you have stuff set up with intermediate sinks, which we can't really do since this is mostly fluids, it can be quite hard to tell whether the factory is working or not until it's completely 100% built, which it now is. Alright, and then we bring this power line down to the next floor. And, yep, there is a noticeable jump there. And that should be everything online. And now we just have to figure out what is going wrong. So, first of all, we just drop down to the bottom floor. So we can pretty quickly, because there are not that many of them, check all of these and see what shortages exist, if any. This looks fine. This definitely isn't getting enough fuel, though. How is this one getting enough fuel, but this one isn't? Shouldn't they be, like, the same? Alright, so we definitely have just fuel shortages across the board. Some of which are actually quite dire. How did you get down to 3%? That's incredible. Alright, this row, by contrast, is totally fine for some reason. And this row has fuel shortages. Yeah, okay. Why? And also, that one's not outputting. Alright, this is fuel shortage. This whole area seems to be fuel shortage city. And we had that one machine which wasn't outputting, which I suspect is a missing pipe somewhere, somehow. And this one, yeah. So, you have this pipe, which is filled but not flowing. Then we go up here, and you're gonna have to sneak in. That's this pipeline, which is doing nothing. I'm gonna take that out and put it back in. And see if that fixes it. Now, really, this whole line seems to not really be doing all that much. I don't know, let's figure out the fuel. So we drop down another layer. But did this end up doing anything? No. Its outputs are just sitting there uselessly. Well, that's gonna be a problem. That's definitely gonna be a problem because they should be filling up this pipe, which is otherwise not flowing very much. So maybe, okay, maybe the connection is bad here. Maybe this isn't into the floor hole right. So we connect that up. And then obviously you're going to start running again for a little bit. But then your flow rate just stops. And it just trickles down to 0. And then that's capped again. What the heck is going on? Alright, so I guess something on this pipe must be like significantly limiting flow. What if I put a valve there and just leave it set to that? So as soon as I do that, this must be something back here. Alright. I think we got it working by just deleting and rebuilding. So yeah, something in there. Maybe the junction wasn't properly on, or something along those lines. So that problem is fixed. Now we can drop down and see what's going on with the fuel. And it seems to be... Well, let's see. Oh, water shortages? Maybe? Some of these look like they might be short water. But others are very clearly short on heavy oil residue. Oh, these ones still have the valves, which is definitely the problem. So let's... I could have sworn I dismantled all of these earlier today, but apparently not. Apparently I must have missed this row. So all of those valves get dismantled. And then we're just gonna have to hope that that solves the issue. And then these are definitely outputting enough fuel, at least up to this point. This one isn't getting enough heavy oil residue. That's probably just natural manifolding. Yeah, so it's not a valve problem, it's a manifolding problem. Which means theoretically it'll equalize out as this goes. Yeah, there's hardly any heavy oil residue getting back here. So we have 400, 500-ish going down this way for no discernible reason. How is this getting that much? It should, like, these pipes should all be filled, right? So hopefully that just is taking some time to trickle through. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Some weird stuff. But back here, the heavy oil residue pipe is apparently facing issues. It is not... Yes, we have not enough heavy oil residue production, and I assume, based on prior experience, that, yeah, the machines back here are backlogged. Alright, so... how do we fix that? Well, one thing we can do is by just using these pipes. So if we just take these pipes over this way, and over they go. And then, I've been using noodle mode this whole time. I probably shouldn't be. So if we just send that pipe into there, and this pipe, how many rows of this even are there? There's 4 rows, one of which is partial. Alright, so what if we just then connect you up to those two, and bring you up here. And then pop a valve in there. And connect you into there. And then another pipe goes around and into there. So now we have extra heavy oil residue which can come around that way. And now instead of manifolding from one direction, it'll be at least manifolding in both directions, which should improve that usage a lot. And at least for now, all of these are green. So that's a good sign. So hopefully, I mean, that might just single-handedly do it. These are all staying totally full, right? Alright, this still isn't... I mean, okay, it is actually outputting all of its fluids, so that's good. So now these are all looking good. And then we just want to crank up the water input so that it's not limited. So let's just do that in all of these places. And I don't know if we're going to need to do this for every single machine. Probably are. Alright, so that first row should now have plenty of water. And let's see, I did that too. Alright, that is a manifolding thing, right? Because each of these is a full pipe of water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, each of these is 600. So we do actually need to make sure that the water is good. So fixing this manifold is going to slow down the last couple of machines for a bit, but it should fix itself shortly, and now all of these should be going along. Should be just fine. Although we might need to ensure that the pipes fill. No, this looks like it is working now. Yeah, okay, so it looks like it's oscillating around being basically done, which is fine. Alright, so let's go into these then. And they don't seem to have any water-related issues. What does this valve show? 99.2. Well, we're going to set that up. And yeah, because if we do this while the water is already full, then it won't have to manifold. So let's just go through here, and then by the time we're done sorting all of this stuff out, then hopefully the final, what's it called? Hopefully the final production will be working itself out in the meantime. That fuel looks like it's barely outputting enough, which is a potential concern. Alright, and then this is still not getting enough heavy oil residue, although it's close. It is almost getting enough. These first couple are fine. It looks like this one is receiving its heavy oil residue primarily from this side, which is a bit funky, but whatever. So this pipe is doing pipe stuff, honestly. Not much to worry about there. We just increase all of these. And so that this way the water will do the right thing. And unless it breaks it, in which case, whoops. But it shouldn't break it. Should be fine. And yeah, here as well, the fuel looks like it is, to some extent, just piling up. So let's do this last bit of valve changing and then see what's going on at the rocket fuel production. We might have run out of some other input, which would be a bit more concerning, because those are all raw resources. Alright, so those are all set. This line is looking good. So now we head up here. And alright, everything is fine there. Everything is fine here. Just barely getting rid of the rocket fuel. Not seeing any shortages of anything. I mean, all of these look completely solid now. I guess this still might be a little low on fuel, but probably not. It's probably fine. Alright, these ones are still yellow. Why are you yellow? You're still struggling with fuel. But it doesn't look like you should be. I mean, these are ticking away. Okay, this is still not getting enough water. That machine in particular, these last two machines have water shortages. Fortunately, we are directly above a lake. So we can just come down here, and I don't know why this problem exists, but I'm going to solve it. So this can just come up into a floor hole, up there, and then that. Of course, that didn't work. Why would it ever be simple? That goes there. This goes into there. And then we just power up this water extractor by connecting it to something that's free, like that one. And now this is extracting. There we go, and it should get head lift from the rest of this setup. That shouldn't be a concern. Although apparently it is a concern. Alright, that's fine. We could just slap the pump on and power it up. So there we go. There's now plenty of spare water in this pipe. And it's coming from this side, so there won't be any issues there. And then if there are issues, then we can do the same for the rest of these. Which they don't look like they're having issues. Whatever went wrong, at least at a glance, seems to be wrong with this first row only. Maybe some weird thing to do with elevation, maybe. I don't know. So that is plenty of water now, so these are now running at full capacity. And we should be all good to go for these guys as well. So the fuel is going to be a bit... It's still going to look like it's a bit behind, but it isn't actually. It's just keeping up precisely. And yeah, so all of these, because technically this fuel is all connected together. They go up individually, but they are all connected, so that shortage over there would be the cause for this entire row being messed up. And potentially, I think these are technically the entire thing is connected, so it might be a cause for the entire thing to be messed up, but probably not. Alright, but this machine in particular is still clearly short fuel. So where is all of that extra fuel going? It's not going up to here. Actually, it looks like it is, but I don't know what that wouldn't cause anything to change. So why are you not getting enough fuel? Is it because it's weird that it's only that one machine, and to extend this row. Alright, let's turn that machine off. Let this row chill for a bit. So I think what's happening is that this whole row is short on fuel, and it's getting like manifolded basically, and it's taking a while for it to just make its way over. So we turn that one off, and we turn like that one off. The rest of these should fill up. And that should solve that problem. If that is the problem, then this will be the solution to it. If it isn't, then who knows? We'll have to come up with something else. Alright, this seems to be... I mean, it's hard to tell. It's very hard to tell. But it should be working. It looks like even now this isn't making any progress on filling. even with 2 whole machines paused. So that's suspicious. Well, it looks like they might have just figured it out just now. That's in, and then this is going to fill up, and then it'll be good. Alright, so that is all full. So now we should be able to turn this one on, and it'll fill up relatively quickly. Not quite as quickly as the other ones, obviously, since there's only one machine turned off now, but it should fill up, and then the internal buffers for all these machines should hopefully resolve any weird issues. Okay, it's receiving fuel. And I guess it's just gonna be like this for a while. It doesn't look like this is making any forward progress. It actually looks like we still have significant fuel shortages in this row. You're 100%. You are 100%. 100%. 100%. 98%, but fine. And 95%, but fine. So is there a shortage anywhere else? No, there's more fuel than we can use there. Yeah, it looks like we have more fuel than we can use in most of these places. So that is a good sign. Okay, this one isn't getting enough heavy oil residue still. So let's turn you off and let this fill up. So this should work pretty quickly now. I wish you could manually fill buffers of fluids like you can with solids, but unfortunately it's not that simple. Alright, so that is that. We can turn that back on. And then the rest of these are the same problem with not enough output space. Which means that this production line should be going just fine. And this should also be filling up nicely. Yeah, looks like the amount of fuel we are outputting should be outpacing this with this machine turned off. Yeah, so that's up to 50. And now we should be able to head over here, turn this machine back on, and get everything running again. Alright, rocket fuel production back up to full capacity. And now this fluid buffer was supposed to prevent stuff like that, but apparently it hasn't. Which is, I guess it's fine. We have all this compacted coal, which is just getting sunk. We're up to 366 coupons, by the way. I have to do something with all that at some point. And let's see, this is obviously just not really doing anything anymore. There's no need for more aluminum because we have plenty of rocket fuel. Alright, so everything is looking fine, at least at a glance. So now let's just check the power grid and see if it stabilized any. Not really. I mean, it's maybe a little bit better. It's maybe a little bit better, but it's hard to say. Hard to say indeed. And is the problem this first level? Yes. And actually, let's see, the row the row which we balanced was this one. And this one isn't completely 100% either. Yeah, so this isn't working. Now, is it a first floor problem, or are all of the floors getting this? So let's head a bit into here. Now, I mean, the rest of the floors, at least this floor, looks fine. I just don't see any yellow there. So let's go up to this floor, which, okay, I could have sworn I saw some yellow just there, but no, that's all fine as well. And just at a glance, doesn't look like, you know, if there are problems here, they're tiny ones. We did have a pretty big dip there, just briefly. How are these pipes? They're not full, which is maybe an issue, but probably not. I might want to do the thing where I turn some of these off as well, just to make sure everything gets sorted. So this floor looks visually fine. Looks barely fine. It doesn't look like it's got significant margins, but did I just see some yellow? I do see some yellow back there. Alright, so this is like technically not 100%, but it's like 98%, at least at a glance. Yeah, looks like somewhere north of 98% here. Then we come up here and it looks about the same. Looks to be in the 98% ballpark. And then the top floor, also in the 98% ballpark. Alright. How do we fix that last couple of percents and also fix this giant manifolding crisis here? So we're going to drop back here and see if the rocket fuel production is still going, or if something else is broken in the meantime. Fuel is broken again. Hooray! I sure do love it when the fuel just inexplicably doesn't work for no reason. And it's literally just one machine. Is that true? No, it's like two-ish machines. Alright, fuel. Where is the fuel shortage? Where is the fuel shortage? This machine... No, this is working. Alright, so these machines have too much fuel, which is causing them to sit idle sometimes. And these machines are working at 100%. Alright, this machine is short on water. So that is a concern, as is this one. Alright, so let's fix that the same way we did the other one. And actually we can just... Let's just get a couple of water extractors and hook them all in. And then attach them up to that. And then power them all up. So that then needs to connect up to another power pole somewhere. And now we should have plenty of excess water so that instead of just putting in there, we can also take this along to all of these water pipe locations. Including that one. And then just a little bit more to get over to here. Alright. So this is the one which is short on water. It should be fixed now, realistically. Like, we're pumping a whole lot of extra water into this side now. So that should be fuel. So that should be that problem solved permanently. So we attach all of them into the water, so there shouldn't be any more issues. They should be good to go. And then the fuel output. I don't see any shortages from anything else. Maybe sulfur? No, I mean the sulfur looks fine there. It's in the 50s, which is lower than you would expect, but still well high enough that it wouldn't be causing a disruption. Alright, this whole row actually is a little bit short on sulfur. Which, I mean, obviously these ones aren't because they have their whole fuel thing going on. Are the rest of these? No, the rest of these seem to be going fine for sulfur. So, it makes me think that it's a belt speed problem somewhere. Is there any major limitation? Doesn't look like it. Could be in here, but that also doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like any of these belts are being limited at all. I mean, this doesn't look like... Okay, that doesn't really look like 100, does it? That looks like 60. Which makes me think that there is a limiter, but it's back here. Alright. Yeah, this belt is definitely different from the others. So if we just come down to here... Alright, so... That's the first thing to notice, is that these boxes are draining. And this one was just a little bit ahead of this one for some reason, but they are both draining. So, now we have to figure out why that is. So we have to just jump over this way. And, alright, we only have one belt coming in here, and I'm going to switch to jetpack over here. So the problem is that I guess the train is like half emptied or something, which I would I thought I'd prevented. Let's jetpack up there. And man, rocket fuel jetpacks are crazy. Do not need to stop nearly as much as we otherwise would. Especially if we're reasonably efficient about it. Alright, we're just keeping on going up. There's a ladder right over there that I could be using, but this is more fun. You have these fancy jetpacks, may as well use them. Alright, almost ran out of fuel and died. It was maybe a bit ambitious to go that far. So we're just going to get the rest of the way up. Okay, so the problem is the train, I think. So, okay, I understand what happened. The train just made it here and has delivered its cargo and left. So that it's possible. Oh, I see what happened. Actually, I've immediately figured out the issue, and the issue is that I am dumb. And I didn't connect these belts up. So we're using only one belt of output. There we go. Now we're using 2 belts. And now the question is, will the train be able to keep up with this in time? Like, there is a lot of backlog here. And there's even more room for backlog further down. But it could be an issue. It could be an issue. But I don't think it will be. I think it'll work. The train doesn't have that far to go, right? Let's just hang out here and see when the train comes back, which shouldn't be too long. Let's see if I can actually just find it. So we go in here, and it's this one. So it's heading up, and at the rate that it's going, it's not gonna be particularly close to running out. Like, it has quite a journey, but not that much. I mean, it's going up to around here-ish. Actually, I don't see the stop. It's underneath that copper node, I guess. And then, in the meantime, I mean, there's still tons of sulfur here, so that isn't going to be a concern. Should all be fine. So now we can drop back down here and see that there should be plenty of sulfur coming out of this. 2 full belts worth. Alright, so we drop down. And we jetpack. And yeah, this all looks totally fine now. And these boxes should be filling up. Or maybe, yeah, they're ever so slightly filling up. Because they're taking in 780 each, but only outputting like 600-ish maybe. Not quite as much. Alright, so now we can head back over here. Sulfur problem fixed. And we just need to figure out what the absolute heck is going on with the fuel. So this is up to 50%. And it looks like it's just going to be hovering around there forever. Right, let's swap back to jet. Let's swap back to hoverpack. Okay, so this is what I don't understand, is where is all the fuel even going? Because, like, we have all of these, like, full production of fuel coming out of all of those. Now these so like that. Alright. I think I know how to. So I think we want to localize the fuel production, so we just get valves like that and like that. so that this fuel has nowhere to go but into this specifically. And we can then drop these valves down to 0. So we need these pipes to exist for head lift, but we do not need them to exist. Okay, actually we don't even need to set the valves down. We can just, because if they're like this, then the fuel has nowhere to go but up. Now this might also break the head lift. That's entirely possible that will happen. But we'll have to see. So let's get those in. And if we can do this, then it all become local. And if this works, by the way, which I don't know that it will, we might end up just cutting head lift to the entire system, which would be a shame, but then we'll just have to figure out how to get it back. Alright, so now that that is all in, this machine is producing the fuel. Which is... Alright, so I think we have just simply managed to cut off head lift. Okay, so instead of that, what we need is we need to take these valves off again and just let it flow naturally for a bit. So we need to have the valves only pointing in one direction, but just set to 0. So that will cut the flow without cutting the head lift. Oh wait, that valve is actually important. Let's get that in. Alright, so we have that like that. So, what we need to do is then have just a line of valves along here. Like this. And then set all of these to 0. So this should preserve head lift. This should preserve head lift because all the valves are pointing in the same direction. And then it should also prevent the fuel from going places that I don't want it to go. So let's see. It seems to be working, maybe. Yeah, so this is now getting fuel, and it's not quite 100%, probably just has to wait for this to... They just have to sync up, I think, in order for it to work, but there's definitely fuel coming into this. So that should be good, and we can run along here and do the same thing. So this valve, we actually want to set to 0. And then we take that out, set you to 0. Take you out and set you to 0. By the way, yeah, we've basically crashed the entire power grid while doing this. That's fine. It'll be fixed soon. Alright, just a couple more of these. Alright, that is probably fine to have that valve there. Alright, so then we get all of these. And this should prevent whatever is going on right now. And just ensure that they get... each machine just outputs into the one that it's supposed to. And nothing else. Alright, that goes in. And set to 0. Ooh, this goes that way. Okay, yeah, I think that's fine. I think these might have to be pointing the other direction. Yeah, definitely. Alright, that's fine. All of these valves go in like this. And like that. And like that. And like that. Then that valve has to go away. And now we set all of these down to 0. So that what we're trying to accomplish here is basically keep head lift flowing through the entire system so we don't have to put pumps everywhere, while also having the actual fuel flow be completely local from one blender up to the blender directly above it, and not having all this weird stuff where the blender over there is slowed down because some blender over here isn't running at full capacity or whatever. Alright, so then we just have to do this last one. So we get valves before each of these. And then we set all of these to 0. So either this will break all of them or it'll fix all of them, and we're going to find out. So there we go. And that one. Alright, let's check a power pole, because we might... Alright, the grid is going up. I was worried if we accidentally stopped all of this from working, we might technically trip the grid. It's theoretically possible, maybe, but very unlikely. And now, if we check, all of these should be set. Yeah, they should all be going well now. And it looks like everything is fine. So now if any of these continue to have problems, then we will know it's a problem with the machine directly beneath them, and we can investigate that and figure out what's causing it. Actually, how big of production chunks do these make them in? Chunks of 10 every 6 seconds? Whereas these are chunks, they use them every 2.4 seconds. So yeah, that's why it's a little bit bursty, but it looks like that did fix the issue. At least around here. Yeah, everything... I mean, I'm not checking every individual machine, but they all look like they're at least getting some head lift through. And if we then check the machine directly beneath them, yeah, so should be solid now. So I think that's that problem fixed, which is pretty cool. And the grid is going back up. It's higher than it was previously, I think. Previously it was like hovering around the 212. Now it's getting up to like 2 18-ish sometimes. That's nice. It would be cool if we could get everything running. So, the next thing. We have this first row. This first floor is set up funny because it was the first floor. So first of all, it's taking it from 2 separate pipes, which is weird. I don't love that. It's probably fine, but like it's definitely not the way I normally do things. So let's just connect those across. And then chop that down. So now this is split to those, just out of a single thing. And there's not like another valve down here that's gonna cause that to be an issue. So obviously that one's emptied out. This one should be ticking up towards 600k, which it should be able to manage pretty easily. But it doesn't necessarily look like it is. Alright, I think we may have managed to successfully break things instead of making them better. Which I don't know why this one would have issues. I mean, is it still not producing fast enough? That's 100%. So all of these are producing at 100% and they aren't even backlogging or anything. So it should be fine. And then the fact that it's reporting this as 400 is probably just just an error on its display part, or maybe it's just slowly ticking up. Yeah, it looks like it might just be slowly ticking up. Alright, so now I think we want to get all of these set up properly so that they are load balanced instead of manifolded. Alright, so that goes to there, and there, and there. So, let's see, the first 2 are connected, and then those 2 aren't. And then this comes out to here. Then the next 2 are connected, and then the next 2 aren't. And then the last 2 are connected. Alright, so this comes out and runs forwards a little bit. I guess it has to come all the way out to here. So let's just do this. Then these all come forwards. And like that. And like that. Okay, then we actually need to cut these back a little bit because this is all weird and janky. So this has to go back into there so that those are connected up. And then we just need to do this one and then a couple more on the other side. So this all gets disconnected. And the pipeline junction goes into there. So we got that one, that, and that. And then this comes over here. Alright, so the first two are connected. The next two aren't. So we dismantle that. Then the next two are connected. And then those two aren't. And so now we just have to take this out and bring it along this way. And a bit forwards, and then we can connect them all up. So that connects across to there. That has to stop a little bit there, and then connect across. Alright, so that is this, I believe this entire half? Yeah, that entire half has been properly balanced. So now we just have this half left to do. So, first we need to take some of this stuff out. That back to there. Junction. This is going to be a bit awkward underneath all of this because of space constraints. And that goes like that. And that goes into there. Alright, now we have the first two connected, next two disconnected, next two connected, next two disconnected, and then the last two connected. So yeah, the way I'm telling this, by the way, is that these have the sort of floating feet on them. I don't know what to call those, but you know what I'm talking about. Alright, so then that comes out to there, and then goes all the way over this way. And just a little bit more. And this comes out to here. And now these two can both come back this way, into that, and then a little bit further and into that. So that's another one of those connected up. Let's just make sure that all of these valves aren't actually set to anything, because it would be very bad if they were. Alright, so then we have to disconnect you, add in an additional junction, connect you across like there. Don't need that anymore. Get rid of it. Then you go there, and you go there, and there. So the first bit is connected. Then we disconnect that one. Then we leave those two connected. Disconnect that one. And then we just take these pipes back. And a little bit further. This one comes out. And one more intermediate step, and then we connect these back. Alright, you are in, and you are in. Alright, so we have just this one. Am I bad at math? Did I miss one? No, I didn't. I just lost count. Alright, so we have one more left to do. So we have to disconnect all of this. And then go in there. Next up like that, and like that. And then out to there, and there. Alright, so the first two connected. Then we disconnect the next pair. Leave that pair connected. And disconnect that pair. Alright, now we just have to take this back, and the first floor will be properly balanced. So this just comes all the way. And this has to come out to here as well. Then we connect those back in, and we should be all set. So that should cause this entire thing to function better. And you can see already it's looking much nicer. No giant glaring red spots at the end, except for here. Alright, so what did we do wrong here? Did we not connect something up properly, or what? I don't see any obvious problems. Like, at a brief glance, that all looks normal. But there is precisely 0 rocket fuel in these pipes. So it must not be attached properly. Oh, yeah, obviously. Gotta do that. Alright, done. How are these machines running? Oh, they just had big stockpiles, I guess. Alright, so that should get all of that flowing across, and you should see that start to take effect. Yep, there we go. They're getting there. And now just these last couple. Alright, so now we have this whole thing starting up. So that's nice. I think it's gonna be hard to tell, like, exactly what the problems are going to be at this point, because fluids are fluids, so there's always going to be a bit of wobbliness with this much. I also want to make sure that, like, these are all actually connected up to the main grid. Oh boy. Game has crashed. Interesting. Well, let's see here. So that's not good. Yeah, I tried to open that generator menu and the game just instantly crashed. So I guess we load back in and see what happens. We're near the end of the stream, so if there is some main issue, then I'll have to figure it out between streams, but hopefully things just function properly. And hopefully our recent autosave was not too far back. Let's see when the last autosave was and see if we have lost a billion years of progress. Alright, we are down here and we are filling in these pipes. Alright, and it's just 2 more rows. Alright, well, let's redo that work, I guess. It's annoying, but not much to be done about it. Fortunately, we only lost, a little bit. So skip that one and dismantle that one. It would have been nice if there had been an autosave when I was just running around looking at stuff. Although maybe the crash was caused by the autosave, like trying to happen and failing for some reason. We'll see. It did happen at exactly the instant that I opened up a fuel generator menu, so I would assume that the problem was something to do with that, but it could have been a coincidence, of course. Alright, so that is in. Then we go over here, and alright, we need to actually get all of these values set. So that gets a pipeline junction, goes into there, across to there, and then forwards a little bit, and forwards a little bit. Alright, so that is the first one, which we leave. Then take that one. Then we leave that one. And take that one. And then these come out. And we go back. Alright. All the way back. We take that out. And now we just need to, apparently this is just barely too long, so let's bring these up to here. And then connect those across. Alright. So now for the second time, we have officially connected everything up. And I'm going to save the game manually now. Alright, so that should be everything. Alright, cool. Problem solved. Alright. And then there was this, which wasn't attached up at all. So let's get that in. Refix that bug. Crashes are annoying, but sometimes you have a crash. There's not much that can be done about it, so aside from just fixing the crash. Alright, so now we get to play the fun game of if I head over there and start opening fuel generator menus, is it going to crash again? Hopefully it was an isolated incident. But there we go, we can open the menu. We haven't crashed yet. Now let's open this menu. Still no crash. This one? Alright, still good. Alright, I think the crash was probably just a weird freak incident and nothing to worry about. And so I guess that's gonna be that. So now let's just drop back down here, see if there are any potential issues here. We have tons of heavy oil residue. These are once again not producing fast enough. They're backlogging again, which is potentially an issue. So let's just check all these machines, see how they're all going. Everything is looking fine on that row, which is a nice improvement. And this row is also looking fine. At least in terms of fuel generation, I'm not seeing anything concerning. Which makes it sort of mysterious how the heavy oil residue backlog is happening. We're producing exactly enough. So if that's backlogging and this is still cooking along perfectly, then, okay, that machine and this last row is 75%. Except for this last one, which is underclocked anyways. So is that because of these Alright, no, there's actually a serious concern here. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. This last row isn't supposed to be local. So we need to chop out these valves just for this last row, because this is set up differently, I think, from what I remember. Yeah, because here we have 5 machines outputting into 6 of these. And so this... Okay, and this valve can't be there, it actually has to be there. And still set to 0. So now, hopefully we won't have any problems with this row. We should be outputting fuel into all of these things now. And I guess that should be fine. Yeah, it looks like should all be going again. Looks like it is working properly. So yeah, I guess that is all of that set up. Everything is looking a lot better. If we just check the power grid, it's stable, but not as high as it could be. So we still have some work to do here. I do want to get this to 100% efficiency or nearly so. But I think we are at a point where we need to wait for things to shake out a little bit again to figure out where the problems are. And that is just going to be something that happens between streams mostly. So yeah, I think we're going to wind up the stream here. We are done, at least done constructing our power plant. We're not done bug fixing it yet. And actually, yeah, there is something weird going on with this heavy oil residue. But we'll figure that out later. For now, thanks for hanging out. I will be playing Factorio tomorrow, where we are continuing to do Factorio stuff. So make sure to stop by for that. I'll be streaming from 2 to 5 Eastern Time as usual. So if you're interested in factory building games in general, make sure to follow if you haven't already so you can see when I'm live. And we'll be back in Satisfactory on Wednesday to finish off bug fixing this and then move on to the next thing. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for hanging out. Had a lot of fun here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!